Hello everyone and welcome to my kitchen. Today I wanted to show you how I make my almost, I believe one could say, famous risotto. I've been making this one for my friends for years and years and years, and so many asked me for the recipe. Here's my mushroom risotto. I hope you enjoy it. Let's jump right into it. The thing you want to be starting with is the stock. Like my mom always used to say, a risotto is only as good as the soup you're using, where she does have a point, but also I don't have the time, so this is a pre-made one. And I'm gonna roughly make about 2 liters of like the chicken stock, which is the tiniest bit too much, just in case, I don't know, the risotto is getting too dry or whatever. And I always like to use a little bit less of the pre-made soup, and instead just use a little bit of salt, because with anything pre-made, flavors too strong and it would overpower the mushrooms in the risotto. But this is just like a thing of like personal preference. And then you wait until the soup dissolves. Before you take the onions, before you take the oil, before you do anything else, you take the dried porcinos, and this is going to change everything about the risotto. You just take them out of the bag and put them into a fresh bowl. Obviously fresh bowl. I hope one can hear me. With the dry porcino, you put in 2 full scoops of the broth. This will not only soften up the mushrooms, because no one wants to eat dried up mushrooms in the risotto, but it will also give this portion of the soup like a very, very intense mushroom flavor. I'm already bleeding. So this is the first scoop of soup I will be using with the rice later on. And this will transfer like a very intense flavor onto the risotto. So that's a really, really great tip for anyone. So I'm just gonna swirl the mushrooms and the soup together and put that aside. I'm not very good at cutting onions, so I'm gonna turn off the camera now and hope that you know how to manage that. So the soup is about ready. I've already chopped up the onion. And I'm now gonna add a second pot. This is a Le Creuset one. Thank you, mommy. I'm heating up about 1.5 tablespoons of olive oil. Slowly going to add the onion to the olive oil and start frying them very slowly without any coloring. And these are the porcinis in a little bit of chicken stock. And you can see the color is already so intense and dark. This is gonna have such a nice flavor. So a few minutes have gone by and the onions are already smelling very, very intense. So I had to open the window, so there may be some background noise now. But now a really, really important part has come, where I'm gonna very carefully take out the mushrooms out of the bowl and put them aside. I'm quickly going to chop them up and add them to the risotto later. And now, this is like 1/2 kilogram of rice, like a special risotto rice. This is the gallo one. I'm gonna add the rice into the pan and then give it a really good stir. So now all of the flavor of the onions will soak into the rice. And before you add any stock, you can use any white wine there's left in your fridge. I was hoping there'd be a more cheaper one. And you add just like a nice swoop of the wine. Then I'm gonna wait until I can really smell the alcohol in the air, because this will mean that all of the alcohol of the wine is gone, and the only thing that's left in the risotto is the flavor of the wine, which is just what we want. So now I believe all of the alcohol is vanished, and then I'm going to take the stock that we made with the dried porcini, and this is the first portion of stock you want to put into the risotto, because it is full of like the mushroom flavor, and this will really not only change the color of the risotto, but also like intensify the flavor like crazy. But like the smell in the kitchen is so good at the moment. Like you can smell like the onions and the wine and like the mushrooms and a little bit of the soup. And I love the smell of risotto. For the next 30 minutes, I'm gonna add about 1 or 2 scoops at a time into the risotto and wait for the rice to absorb the soup. Give it a good stir, wait, be really patient. Sometimes it can take a little bit longer, it depends on the amount of heat you're using. And then give it a really good stir, wait till it has absorbed, and then add another one or 2 big scoops of like the soup. What I've done in the meantime is I chopped up the porcini, so I'm gonna add them into the risotto now, which I can't do without 2 hands. Doing cooking videos is so much more exhausting than doing makeup videos. I'm just gonna add it to the risotto. So in the meantime, while I keep stirring the risotto, what I'm going to do is I bought another kind of mushroom. You can basically use any mushroom you like. I found these really appealing at the supermarket. I don't know what they're called in English. And neither does Leo Org, so I'm just gonna show them to you. The Kräuterseitlinge. And I'm gonna wash them and cut them up in really thin slices, and then I'll be back in a second and show you what I'm gonna do to them. Sounds horrible. I'm gonna be back in a second. I'm gonna take my pan and then add like a really generous amount of butter. This is basically like the only secret to my cooking. I always use way too much butter and then people love it. Make sure that it's really evenly distributed. And then one by one, I'm gonna put the mushrooms into the pan. Also add a little bit of herb salt. In the meantime, while this keeps frying and you keep stirring the risotto, you can already start grating the Parmesan cheese, because it will take ages. And I'm gonna prepare like a little salad. And I've decided to just use like some spinach leaves and cut up some grapes and maybe some walnuts. The consistency of the risotto is almost done, and I'm gonna finish it off by adding a huge amount of butter, like massive amounts of butter, something like this. And something I've never seen with anyone else, I like to put in a little bit, well, a lot of cream actually at the end, just to make it like a little bit more creamy, and fat always helps to push the flavor in any dish. Keep stirring while adding the cream. I know this looks like a really huge amount at the moment, but it's gonna taste amazing. Let this sit for a moment. In the meantime, I've finished up the salad, which I'm gonna prepare with a little bit of balsamico and olive oil. And I've grated the cheese, which is going to be the final step just before serving. So you can see it's already getting really creamy and the consistency is getting rather tacky. I'm gonna turn off the heat and add loads and loads of cheese. Perfect. And then you serve them with the mushrooms on top, and add some parmesan, and that's it. Cheers! Cheers! And that was basically it. Really hope you try it out and enjoy your risotto, and bon appetit!